What's up? What's up? Welcome to the performance edition of the Dante Breakdown series. So let's talk about everyone wants to know like latency, etc. How's this stuff work? With Dante and a Dante network, you can either run it as is, plug your interfaces straight into a switch, straight into a computer, and roll. Or you can also add what's called an accelerator card, a Dante accelerator card, which is like expensive, like $1,000. And you'll get with that accelerator card reports of very almost zero latency, super low, under a millisecond. And that's probably well and great, but I haven't had any need for that yet. Not to spend that kind of money on it. And plus, I have an iMac, so it would even require extra links since the accelerators are PCIe card based units, all of them. So I haven't done that, but I don't need to. My real world latency round trip figures have been like around 3 milliseconds, which is fine. You hear a lot of talk about 4 milliseconds being the base of Dante systems, and Dante Virtual Sound Card and this and that, and that is the base setting in DVS. In my real world experience, that's not. I don't. That's not what I get. I get lower. I get better. So, and even 4 milliseconds, if it were, that's still okay if that's your true latency, for a lot of things. Don't let the haters convince you it's not. I mean, if you're a really good drummer, sure, it's not going to work for you. But for all intents and purposes, and I mean, 4 milliseconds without anything else goofing it up, true 4 milliseconds, it's not that bad. But anyways, around here it rolls down to three, pretty easily. So I haven't had a need for an accelerator or anything like that. But so let's look at the actual settings on this thing. My system runs all the time. I don't bother shutting it down ever. I use Digital Performer. It's stable as can be, and with the sound cards and this stuff. And I turn the audio devices off when I'm not using them, and back on when I use them. So they're off and all the time. But my session stays open and running because my computer, like most, are always on. And so I leave my Digital Performer session running, like this one is still from yesterday. I was showing off this little file, this tiny little guitar solo file. There's my mouse. I'm like, hello. So Digital Performer has been running for a while, and so yeah, I can turn the interfaces on and off. It doesn't really matter because the interface, as far as Digital Performer is concerned, is DVS, Dante Virtual Sound Card. So over here from the Dante controller, we can go to Device Info, double click on things, and it opens up usually over here. This little window, which gives us some more details, a more detailed view of our device and what's going on. So this stuff's not really that important to you. That one will be. So the device, the configuration stuff. So we've got both sound cards set to a 1 millisecond setting. The computer's set to 4, which is the DVS thing, like I said, and you're supposed to have, I know, at least your cards matching, your devices matching, but the rest I don't claim to be all that expert on right now. All I know is this is how mine is, and it works great. So let's talk about latency. So there's 3 things, and that'll be going. Well, you got 2 things going. So from either device to the computer, and you gotta add up. Both get you a round trip figure, as it were. So our average for both of these has been 1.7, and for the iMac 1.1. Which gives us a round trip total of 2.8. So I'm thinking that's what it sounds like when I'm actually using this stuff. I'm a musician, of course, too. I play the guitar. In fact, that track right there for the Ninja Turtles show thing, I tracked through a software amp. And even though that one's sitting right there, it's just is how things work sometimes, isn't it? But S Gear is the amp of choice up in here. And so that was tracked through there. And I mean, that's broadcast stuff, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine, you know. And it was like crazy solo stuff too. So no problem with the latency, and so performance-wise, that's kind of what you're looking at. I mean, a lot of that's up to your computer. Like what, you know, how powerful is your computer? And if you'd like to know, you know, like what this old iMac from 2011, this is a 2011 iMac running all this stuff, and this is, like I said, it's a tiny project, so you can see it's hitting that much of my CPU, you know, virtually none. Digital Performer lets you break that out too, and so a lot of that, yeah, we've even got like heavy stuff. Virtual tape machines are up on here. And so there's a good example of a plugin you don't want to be trying to track with, because this thing will give you latency. Kill it entirely. Don't bypass it. Kill it entirely. But common sense type stuff. So most of my, most of my stuff will have a virtual mix rack. And so let's see, with the virtual mix rack, this is pretty simple. So yeah, we usually have a bit more than that. So usually I have a trimmer, then a preamp, usually the channels before that, or no, it's not. And then an EQ, that's not that one. A compressor, that's not that one. Usually that U73 is killer. I usually have a distressal in that, and lately I really dig this EQ. And then there's usually going to be another trimmer on the end of that bad boy. Oh. And sometimes, let's see, just for shits and giggles, we'll drop a revival on the end of that fricker too. Trimmer, move over. No. Grabbed it in the wrong place. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like a lot of plugins, dude. 8 plugins, so to speak, through the slate rack, and you know, none of that stuff's going to add anything to that. If I duplicate that like a dozen times, it's not going to add like hardly anything to that. I probably could do that. Let's see. Do I have that on a slate button? No, I don't. Duplicate. I could do Command Control D. No. No. Yeah, who wants to watch me do all this? So we'll duplicate it, you know, a couple of times. Why not? We'll just see if we can make this damn thing, like, ping the processor at all. Because notice it's still kind of not pinging the processor at all. And yeah, all those are running across those. Oops, sorry. The virtual mix racks are running across all those. And each one of them have all those tons of stuff in there. So, you know, there's just none of this stuff is heavy hitting. If you want a performance friendly system, get on Dante, get some good sound interfaces, use plugins that don't bring a lot of latency with them, and that run really light on your CPU, and you're golden. I don't do that. That's what I do. I don't do that either, but I'm not a gangster at all.